Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Vladimir Putin says Europe is needed in Ukraine talks, but suggests a deal is still distant. The UN Security Council adopts a US-backed Ukraine resolution favoring Moscow. Taiwan's Coast Guard detains a China-linked cargo ship suspecting grey zone warfare after an undersea cable gets disconnected in the Taiwan Strait. And India's Prime Minister inaugurates Advantage Assam 2.0 summit in Guwahati, says the nation's northeast will have a new future now. First up, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said on Monday that while Europe's involvement in Ukraine peace talks will eventually be necessary, Moscow first wants to establish trust with Washington. He acknowledged that a deal to end the conflict remains distant, but noted that Trump is approaching the issue rationally.
The first step should be devoted to increasing the level of trust between the two countries. That's exactly what we are doing in Riyadh. This is what the next, maybe other high-level contacts will be dedicated to. Without this, it is impossible to resolve any issue, including an issue as complex and acute as the Ukrainian crisis.
Meanwhile, Putin extended an economic offer to the US, proposing joint exploration of Russia's rare earth metal deposits and the supply of up to 2 million tons of aluminium annually if US trade restrictions are lifted. He also hinted at potential cooperation in energy and resource development, including areas in Russian-controlled eastern Ukraine. Now, the US twice sided with Russia in votes at the United Nations to mark the third anniversary of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, highlighting the Trump administration's change of stance on the war. Due to last-minute amendments, India chose to abstain from both the resolutions, though it has consistently maintained its stance of advocating peace through dialogue. Take a look.
The United Nations Security Council on Monday adopted a US-drafted resolution marking the third anniversary of Ukraine conflict, calling for an end to the hostilities. The US resolution received 10 votes in favor, while France, Britain, Denmark, Greece and Slovenia abstained. Until now, the 15-member council has been unable to take any action on the conflict in Ukraine. The short resolution mourns the loss of life in Russia-Ukraine conflict, reiterates the UN's purpose is to maintain international peace and security and peacefully settle disputes, and also urges a swift end to the conflict. Acting US Ambassador to the UN, Doordarshan, told the Council that the resolution puts everyone on the path to peace and it is a first step which all should be proud of.
This resolution puts us on the path to peace. It is a first step, but a crucial one of which we should all be proud. Now we must use it to build a peaceful future for Ukraine, Russia, and the international community.
Britain's UN Ambassador Barbara Woodward told the Council that the terms of peace in Ukraine matter.
And the terms of the peace must send a message that aggression does not pay. This is why there can be no equivalence between Russia and Ukraine in how this Council refers to this war. If we are to find a path to sustainable peace, the Council must be clear on the war's origins.
Earlier on Monday, the UN General Assembly rejected a US-drafted resolution, which was later passed only after being amended to the state. The General Assembly also adopted a European-backed Ukrainian resolution condemning the conflict as a violation of the UN Charter. The resolution tabled by the United States only passed after a majority of member states voted to add EU-led amendments, which led to the US abstaining on its own motion and voting against the Ukrainian text.
We need to reconfirm that the aggression should be condemned and discredited, not rewarded. Our position must include substantive elements and ensure that any future peace initiatives aligns with the principles of the UN Charter.
However, the text in the original US resolution was passed hours later in the Security Council, the first to do so since the start of the conflict in Ukraine. The two General Assembly draft resolutions put before the UN member states during the morning session both ostensibly called for peace and an end to the conflict, but diverged fundamentally. Anamika Pandey's report, TD India.
US President Donald Trump and French President Emmanuel Macron reaffirmed their commitment to ending the conflict in Ukraine during a joint press conference in Washington, D.C. on Monday. The French president warned that peace cannot mean the surrender of Ukraine, but said talks with US President Trump had shown a path forward despite fears of a transatlantic rift. Trump emphasized the urgency of securing a ceasefire and achieving lasting peace, saying that his administration has engaged in direct talks with both Russian President Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. He underscored that the invasion would never have happened under his previous presidency.
I'm also pleased that President Macron agrees that the cost and burden of securing the peace must be borne by the nations of Europe, not alone by the United States. And Europe must take that central role in assuring long-term security of Ukraine, which they want to do. And that's not a very big step. The big step is what's going to happen over the next few weeks. We must have an agreement with Ukraine on critical minerals and rare earths and various other things as security. And I think that that's happening. I think we've made a lot of progress. I had a report just given to me before walking in that we've made, Emmanuel, a great deal of progress toward getting that.
French President Macron arrived at the White House on Monday for a call with G7 leaders. Macron said that he and Trump were agreed on wanting a swift peace, though he added it must not be a capitulation for Ukraine, starting with a truce and then a peace deal that includes security guarantees.
We want peace. That peace cannot mean capitulation by Ukraine. That peace cannot be a ceasefire with no guarantees. That peace must include the conditions for Ukrainian sovereignty, allowing Ukraine to negotiate with all actors on the issues which concern it and for which it is the only party which can legitimately negotiate. But it's a peace for which we need to assume our responsibilities to maintain security and stability for Ukraine and for the whole region in the long term. And for we Europeans, that's an existential question.
Taiwan's Coast Guard detained a China-linked cargo ship on Tuesday following the disconnection of an undersea cable near the Penghu Islands in the Taiwan Strait. The ship, named Hongtai 58, registered in the Togolese Republic and crewed by Chinese personnel, was anchored near the cable when it got severed, raising suspicions of Beijing's involvement in grey zone warfare against Taiwan. In response, Taiwan's Navy and other agencies have intensified efforts to safeguard undersea communication cables, which are critical for maintaining the island's global connectivity. The final hearing of South Korea's impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol is being held in the Constitutional Court on Tuesday. His lawyer has argued that Yoon wanted to create a world where his every word would be written into the Constitution and that he gave up on his position as the President of South Korea the moment he declared martial law. The court is to decide whether to formally remove him from office over his disastrous martial law declaration. Yoon has been accused of declaring martial law on the 3rd of December last year with no justifiable constitutional grounds. If guilty, he'll be removed from office less than 3 years into his 5-year presidency. And Yoon has been putting up his defense in the hearing as well, putting out his version and his justification for imposing that martial law. Now, at least 4 people were killed and 6 others injured on Tuesday following a collapse in a highway construction site in Anseong in South Korea. The National Fire Agency confirmed the fatalities with 6 critically injured. Acting President Choi Sang-mok has mobilized all available personnel and resources for rescue operations and safety measures. Authorities initially reported 2 fatalities, later updating the figure to 4. The cause of the collapse is under investigation. Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025 in the northeastern state of Assam, in its capital, in fact, in Guwahati. Upon his arrival on stage, Prime Minister Modi was facilitated by the state's Chief Minister Hemant Biswa Sarma. The summit was also attended by a number of business leaders. The Assam Summit aims at fostering innovations and sustainable development in Assam and focusing on its industrial evolution, global trade partnerships, booming industries and the vibrant MSME sector, featuring over 240 exhibitors from across the globe. Addressing the summit, the Prime Minister said that northeastern India will have an important role in making India developed by 2047.
(2047) तक भारत को विकसित भारत बनाने में पूर्वी भारत की भूमिका बहुत बड़ी होने वाली है। आज पूर्वोत्तर और पूर्वी भारत इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, लॉजिस्टिक्स, एग्रीकल्चर, टूरिज्म और इंडस्ट्री में तेज रफ्तार से आगे बढ़ रहा है। वो दिन दूर नहीं जब दुनिया भारत की डेवलपमेंट जर्नी में इस क्षेत्र को सबसे आगे बढ़ते हुए देखेगा।
And let us now hear what investors had to say about their expectations following the inauguration of Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit.
We attended a lot of, we have seen the Prime Minister addressing this state, and we have seen a lot of industrialists addressing this state and their investments. There's a huge potential. You know, we have seen Ambani's, we have seen Mr. Agarwal's, we have seen the Jindals, we have seen the Tatas, and we've seen so many other industries coming and investing this state.
We have been traveling from South India to build a bridge between South and North. So I feel like Assam is going to be the bridge, as the Honorable Prime Minister told that A means, Assam. So we have base from Bangalore, so we call it as B from Bangalore. So we are bridging here for women empowerment and youth.
India's President Draupadi Murmu attended the centenary celebration of Patna Medical College in eastern state of Bihar on Tuesday. The President received a warm welcome on the occasion. She also addressed the gathering. Highlighting the role of artificial intelligence and robotics in the field of medical sciences, she urged all stakeholders of the PMCH to always be ready to adopt to the latest technologies.
मेरी इस संस्थान से जुड़े सभी लोगों से अपील है कि आप आधुनिकतम तकनीकों को अपनाने के लिए सदैव तत्पर रहें। इससे न केवल रोगियों का इलाज सुगम होगा, बल्कि आपके ज्ञान और कार्य क्षमता में भी वृद्धि होगी। पीएमसीएच जैसे बड़े संस्थानों से मेरा आग्रह है कि आप अन्य संस्थाओं के सहयोग से न केवल कैंसर बल्कि अन्य रोगों के इलाज के लिए नई रिसर्च करें।
So the President urging everyone to adopt new technologies. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Bangladesh Army Chief warns the country is at risk from infighting. And US federal workers sue over Musk's threat to fire them.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, Bangladesh's army chief on Tuesday blamed infighting for deteriorating law and order situation in the country. Army Chief General Waqar-uz-Zaman warned that the gains of the student-led revolution that toppled the government last year were at risk. General Zaman said, and I quote, "If you can't move beyond your differences and continue meddling and fighting among yourselves, the independence and integrity of the country will be at risk. I warn you." Bangladesh has been driven by a surge of crime as well as protests this month, where crowds smashed several buildings. Last week, rival student factions clashed at a university campus in which more than 150 students were injured. Meanwhile, student leader Nahid Islam has resigned from the advisory council of the interim government as the information and broadcasting advisor amid discussions that he would join a new political party. At a press briefing in Dhaka, he said, "Given the current situation in the country, the rise of a new political force is necessary." Earlier on Monday, the Anti-Discrimination Student Movement and the Jatiya Nagrik Committee announced that they would launch their political party at Manik Mia Avenue in the capital Dhaka on the 28th of this month. Director General Military Operations of India, Army Lieutenant General Rajiv Ghai, reviewed the situation along the Indo-Myanmar border in the northeastern state of Manipur. In order to gain comprehensive understanding along the border area, the DJMO also took cognizance of the status of the ongoing border infrastructure developments in the state. General Ghai visited his visit, in fact, highlights the collaborative approach between the military and the state officials to implement strategic initiatives. During his visit, General Ghai also called on the Governor of Manipur, Ajay Kumar Bhalla, the State Security Advisor, Chief Secretary of Manipur and Director General of Police, Manipur. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has awarded Coast Guard personnel for their services in Delhi at the 18th investiture ceremony. A total of 32 medals, 6 medals for distinguished service, 11 for gallantry and 15 for meritorious service have been given away. Citing a 26% increase in the budget of the Coast Guard this year, the Defence Minister said that the Modi government has recently approved the purchase of 14 fast patrol vessels, 6 air cushion vessels, 22 interceptor boats and 6 next-generation offshore patrol vessels for the modernization of the fleet of the Coast Guard.
भारत सरकार इंडियन कोस्ट गार्ड की कार्यक्षमता को बढ़ाने के लिए पूरी तरह से कमिटेड है। प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में कोस्ट गार्ड को फाइनेंशियल ईयर 2025-26 के लिए 9,676 करोड़ रुपए का आवंटन किया गया है, जो पिछले वर्ष के बजट की तुलना में 26.60% अधिक है। और यह कोस्ट गार्ड को मॉडर्न बनाने की दिशा में मैं मानता हूं कि बहुत ही एक महत्वपूर्ण कदम है।
Now, developed by IIT Madras in collaboration with the Ministry of Railways, India's first Hyperloop project has been lauded by Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav. This was during the valedictory session of the 5-day-long Global Hyperloop competition hosted by IIT Madras on Monday. Considered as the 5th mode of transport, Hyperloop is a high-speed transportation system for long-distance travel. The Hyperloop track allows trains to travel at very high speeds through special capsules and vacuum tubes, thereby significantly reducing their travel time. Marking a major milestone in high-speed travel, the 422-meter-long Hyperloop test track is also a testimony of the government's commitment to bringing technological innovations in collaboration with academic institutions.
422 meters first tube. This will really go a long way in developing the technologies. I think time has come when after the first two grants of $1 million each, the third grant of $1 million will be given to IIT Madras for further developing the Hyperloop project in a nice way. And once we see the commercial or rather pre-commercial where the product is ready, then within the railway setup we will start the first commercial project. We will decide a site which can be used for good commercial transportation of, let's say, some 40-50 kilometers. That kind of site we will decide, and then we will go for it.
US President Trump's advisor Elon Musk has said on Monday that starting this week, government workers would be put on administrative leave if they fail to return to office. Musk is the world's richest person who's leading a downsizing effort at the US government. Federal workers rattled by Trump's chaotic return to power face more uncertainty when many of them will be required to justify their jobs. Meanwhile, federal workers on Monday filed a lawsuit against Elon Musk for violating the law with his weekend demand that employees explain their accomplishments or risk being fired. The updated lawsuit, which was filed in a federal court in California, is trying to block mass layoffs pursued by Trump as well as President Trump. This includes any connected to the email distributed by the Office of Personnel Management on Saturday. It called the threat of mass firings one of the most massive employment frauds in the history of this country. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has highlighted the impact of AI on agriculture in India, describing it as phenomenal. Sharing the story of sugarcane cultivators in Maharashtra on his social media platform X, Nadella spoke about how the use of artificial intelligence has helped the farmers in dealing with pests, droughts and diseases affecting their harvests and improved their conditions financially. Not only this, AI has also helped them to enhance crop yields, reduce chemical usage and optimize water consumption while giving higher than usual yield. In 2022, Microsoft started an agri-tech project in Baramati district in partnership with the Agricultural Development Trust. This initiative leverages AI tools to help farmers achieve healthy and sustainable harvests. The Vatican confirmed on Tuesday morning that Pope Francis rested well all night. The Pope has been in a critical condition battling double pneumonia. The Pope was admitted to Rome's Gemelli Hospital on the 14th of this month with a serious respiratory illness that has since then triggered other health problems. The Vatican has described the Pope's infection as complex and said it was caused by 2 or more microorganisms. Let's now take a look at some other stories making the news today around the country. Indian Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi, who is in France on an official visit, visited the Future Combat Command in Paris, the technical section of the French Army, and the Battle Lab Terre in Versailles, where he was briefed on various modernization projects of the French Army, including the Scorpion project and innovative initiatives. The India-United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs Capacity Building Program on UNSC Resolution 1540 and Strategic Trade Controls for Asia-Pacific countries was inaugurated on Tuesday at the National Academy of Customs, Indirect Taxes and Narcotics. This first-of-its-kind program is a reaffirmation of India's commitment to the international non-proliferation architecture. Now, a Delhi court on Tuesday awarded a life imprisonment sentence to former Congress MP Sajjan Kumar in a murder case related to the anti-Sikh riots in 1984. Special Judge Kaveri Baveja pronounced a judgment for the killing of Jaswant Singh and his son Tarundeep Singh on the 1st of November 1984. Sports now, and in the Champions Trophy, the Group B clash between Australia and South Africa at the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium has been washed out. The match was abandoned without a ball being bowled because of the persistent rain in Rawalpindi. South Africa came into the contest after a comfortable victory against Afghanistan, while Australia completed the highest successful run chase in Champions Trophy history to beat England. Both teams were looking to continue their winning momentum and book a semi-final spot before rain played spoil sport. Now, England faced early setbacks in their Champions Trophy campaign as fast bowler Brendan Carse has been ruled out of the tournament due to a toe injury. The England and Wales Cricket Board confirmed that Brendan Carse will return to London for further medical assessment after being ruled out. This injury concern started during England's recent white ball series in India, forcing him to miss the final 2 ODIs. To replace Carse, England have added 20-year-old leg spinner Rehan Ahmed to their squad. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.